Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to take you back to the early 1990s in Spain. We're looking at a really unsettling case, one that kind of vanished from public view, actually.
Yeah, it got completely overshadowed, didn't it, by another huge media story at the time.
Exactly. But it's a story that honestly still has so many unanswered questions. So our mission today in this deep dive is to try and uncover what happened. We're looking at the shocking events, the inconsistencies surrounding the disappearance of a young woman named Gloria Martínez Ruiz.
It's quite amazing, really, how a story like this can just fade away, especially when, as you said, something else just explodes in the media.
Yeah.
Gloria's case is definitely, well, it's a stark reminder of that, left behind this trail of just confusing details.
Absolutely. So let's set the scene. Gloria Martínez Ruiz, she was 17 years old from Alicante in Spain. And like a lot of teenagers, she had her struggles. But hers started quite young, around 14. Things like insomnia, stress, anxiety, and anorexia as well.
Right. And before all that kicked off, she was described as, shy, maybe a bit introverted, but also a really committed student, always did well in school.
Yeah, dedicated.
And her parents, naturally, as things got worse, they looked for professional help. They found a psychiatrist, Dr. Maria Soler. Gloria had actually been seeing Dr. Soler for over a year and a half.
Okay.
So there was a relationship there. Gloria apparently felt comfortable with her, which, given she was introverted, that's significant.
Right, that trust is important. So after all this treatment, things actually seemed to improve for a bit. Gloria even got discharged. Seems like she was doing better, had her medication, rules from her parents.
But then, unfortunately, there was a relapse.
Yeah. And this relapse involved a really disturbing incident. One night, she'd taken her meds, went to a disco, and just didn't come home. The next morning, she was found on a beach nearby in Alicante, but completely disoriented. What does that suggest about her state then?
Well, that incident, that relapse, it was a huge turning point. Dr. Soler, when she heard about Gloria being found like that, disoriented, she immediately recommended what she termed an urgent solution.
Okay.
Admission to a private clinic, also in Alicante, called Torres de San Luis.
Torres de San Luis. But then you start looking into this clinic, and things get, well, weird.
Yeah.
Because Torres de San Luis, it wasn't what it appeared to be, not really. On the surface, it looked, almost like a luxury resort, for wealthy people.
Exactly. Bungalows, swimming pool, tennis courts, very peaceful, lots of greenery.
Not what you picture for a medical facility.
Not at all. And the price tag matched that luxury image.
Right. How much are we talking?
Initially, it was 270 euros per day, which back in 1992 pesetas was just astronomical.
Wow.
Like, think over 500 US dollars or maybe 400 pounds a day in today's money. Just huge.
So completely unaffordable for her parents.
Absolutely. So then the psychiatrist, Dr. Soler, she offers them a discount, brings it down to 180 euros a day.
Still a massive amount.
Still a fortune. But the parents felt, pressured. They thought this was Gloria's only hope, which, straight away, that raises a bit of a red flag about the kind of care they were actually selling there.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so our mission here is clear. We need to pull back the curtain on this place, Torres de San Luis. We're going to look at what actually happened inside, the huge inconsistencies in the official story, and just the sheer number of questions that still hang over Gloria's disappearance, all based on the sources we've got.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's jump to late October 1992. Gloria is admitted to Torres de San Luis. Her parents drop her off around 1 p.m. They say their goodbyes, leave by about 1:30 p.m.
Right. And that's the moment everything seems to shift, according to the staff anyway. The nurses claim that as soon as her parents drove away, Gloria became aggressive, crying, saying she didn't want to be there.
Okay, that's the trigger point. And the staff's reaction, it sounds immediate and, well, quite forceful.
Extremely. The nurse's account is they took her to her bungalow, threw her face down on the bed, tied her up.
Tied her up.
Yes. And then sedated her, heavily, with 3 or 4 potent tranquilizers. She was apparently out cold from about 1:30 p.m. until around 8 p.m. that evening.
Sedated for nearly 7 hours straight. Wow. What does that say about the care standard here?
It's alarming, isn't it?
And when she woke up?
Understandably terrified. One nurse took her to the cafeteria to get something to eat. The cafeteria was empty except for the cook. Gloria was apparently so shaken she could barely speak, just whispering.
Poor girl.
She refused food, but she did ask for a piece of paper and a pen.
Okay, and this is where that note comes in, right?
Exactly. This is a really crucial piece of evidence. The cook eventually got her some juice and the paper. Gloria managed to write something down. Now, Her handwriting is shaky, hard to read in places. Apparently, her arms were still numb from being tied up.
Oh, God.
But two things were legible. A name, Vincent, and a really chilling message.
What did it say?
It said, "I'm afraid to admit that I'm dying and the only light is near me."
Wow, I am dying. That's incredibly haunting, especially given the state she was in.
It's the last message anyone ever received from her. A desperate cry for help, it seems.
So what happened after she wrote the note?
The cook managed to get her to drink a bit of juice. Then the nurses came back to take her away. But before they did, Gloria grabbed the cook's arm, pleaded with her for help, saying she was scared they'd sedate her again.
And did the cook do anything?
Apparently not. Seemed intimidated, perhaps, didn't intervene.
So yeah, they did sedate her again.
Tragically, yes. Back to the bungalow, tied up again, second round of sedation. She fell asleep until about 1 or 1:30 a.m.
So she wakes up again middle of the night?
Yeah. An auxiliary nurse noticed she was awake. Gloria asked to be untied so she could use the bathroom. And here's another really disturbing detail. She had wet herself.
Oh, no.
The sedation was so heavy her body just couldn't control itself.
That really shows the effect these drugs were having. Just awful.
So they gave her clean clothes, a white short-sleeved t-shirt, blue sweatpants. As she was coming out of the bathroom, a second nurse apparently arrived, holding a syringe.
Another dose.
That's what it looked like. And according to the staff, this is when Gloria panicked.
Okay. What did they say happened next?
They claimed she got aggressive again, pushed the auxiliary nurse down. When the other nurse tried to grab her, Gloria made a run for it.
Ran in her state.
Supposedly. Ran barefoot, without her glasses, jumped out the bungalow window, and just vanished into the garden.
Right. That's the official story. But how likely is that, really?
Exactly. Let's break that down.
Yeah.
She had severe myopia, right? 8 diopters.
Meaning she was practically blind without her glasses.
Could only see blurry shapes up close.
No.
It was a new moon, so pitch black outside. She's sedated, barefoot.
And she supposedly climbs a 2-meter wall, the lowest point of the fence, apparently.
With no signs of a struggle. No
Wow.
cuts, no blood found on the wall, no footprints on the other side, nothing.
It just doesn't make physical sense.
It really doesn't. It's not just baffling. It directly contradicts their own narrative. Makes you question everything the clinic claimed happened that night.
So the nurses say they lost sight of her, searched the clinic grounds, bathrooms, couldn't find her.
And they claimed they called a police officer who was supposedly, like, on site.
On site, a police officer just hanging around a private clinic.
Sounds so odd, doesn't it? This supposed officer joined the search. But later investigations, zero record of any police officer being there.
A phantom officer. Okay.
Right. Which adds another layer of strangeness to the whole story. And get this, the gardener, who actually lived on the grounds with his family, he offered to help search. They refused his help.
Why would they do that?
Good question. Only the 2 nurses and this maybe non-existent police officer did the initial search.
So hours go by. It's 8 a.m. Still no sign of Gloria.
That's when the nurses finally call Dr. Soler.
8 hours later.
8 hours. Dr. Soler then calls Gloria's parents, tells them their daughter has escaped.
Escaped. I can only imagine the parents' reaction. Furious they weren't called sooner.
Understandably. The mother went straight to the police to file a missing person report. The father rushed to the clinic.
And what did the nurses tell him?
A version of the story. Claimed Gloria got aggressive, had to be sedated, maybe implying just once.
But the father immediately saw the holes in it.
Oh yeah, pointed out straight away. She's barefoot, her glasses are still in the room, she was sedated. How could you possibly climb a 2-meter wall in the dark like that?
And no physical evidence found anywhere. No footprints, no blood, nothing.
Nothing concrete inside or outside the clinic walls. There were neighbors who reported hearing dogs barking, maybe footsteps on gravel around 3 a.m. But that's vague.
And there were those witness sightings, weren't there?
Yes, a couple of leads that ultimately went nowhere. A gas station attendant, like 30 minutes drive away, claimed he saw her early one morning.
Dressed in the same clothes, blue sweatpants, white t-shirt.
Exactly. Said she asked for water, then made a call from a phone booth, and someone picked her up in a car.
But she was sedated, had no money, no glasses. How does she make a call? Arrange a ride?
Right. It defies logic. And raises questions about witness reliability in these kinds of cases, doesn't it?
Definitely. And wasn't there another sighting, something about French boys?
Yeah, someone claimed they saw her with some French guys at a campsite in LT, a different town nearby. That made the police think about the name Vincent she'd written. Vincent being a common French name.
Did that lead anywhere?
No. They investigated, but no Vincent was ever found. Her friends, family, nobody knew anyone called Vincent.
So all these confusing leads, inconsistencies. But the biggest blow to Gloria's case was timing, wasn't it? The media attention.
Absolutely devastating timing. Gloria disappeared in late October 1992. Her case got some initial media coverage.
But then, November 1992.
Then came the Alcácer case. Another tragic disappearance, multiple victims, and it just completely consumed the entire country's attention.
Yeah, I remember how huge that was.
It totally eclipsed Gloria's story. All the media focus shifted. You had Gloria's mother left practically alone, putting up posters all over Spain, trying desperately to keep her daughter's name out there.
One person against that kind of media storm.
An impossible fight. Gloria's case just faded into the background, became obscured.
And the trail went cold for years.
Yeah.
Police revisited the clinic in 93 and 96, tried to reconstruct the scene, but nothing added up.
Right. Until 1999, when an anonymous letter showed up at the police station.
An anonymous letter, what did it say?
The writer claimed they'd seen something shortly after Gloria disappeared, but had been too afraid to say anything until then.
Okay, seen what?
This is the critical part. The letter said, and I quoted the key line here, "We saw the taller girl, Gloria, come out with them as if unconscious, and they told us they were taking her to the hospital."
As if unconscious, taken out by them.
Yes. And the writer also mentioned that one of the young women carrying Gloria out was a nurse from the clinic.
Whoa. Okay, that completely blows the escape theory out of the water.
Completely. It suggests a totally different scenario, something much more sinister.
So what did the police do with this letter? Surely that was a major lead.
You'd think so. But unfortunately, they archived it, dismissed it, along with other false leads and rumors that always surface in these cases once they hit the public eye.
That's unbelievable. What kind of rumors?
All sorts. Wild stuff. Like one reporter claimed he'd had coffee with Gloria, said she'd run off to start a new life somewhere else.
Seriously?
Yeah, turned out to be a complete fabrication later on. Just noise muddying the waters.
So let's pivot back to Torres de San Luis itself. When the police and maybe some media finally started digging into the clinic's background, what did they find? Because it sounds like it wasn't what it claimed to be.
That, putting it mildly. The findings were, well, frankly shocking. First, and this is huge, Torres de San Luis was not a licensed clinic.
Not licensed. What was it then?
Officially, its registration was as a residence of repose. Think luxury retreat, maybe for rest, maybe detox. But crucially, not a medical facility equipped or licensed for psychiatric care.
So it had no legal right to administer those powerful sedatives they gave Gloria?
Exactly. No legal permission whatsoever.
Ugh.
Yet they sedated her repeatedly, heavily.
That's a massive violation right there. The place wasn't even set up for someone with her issues.
Precisely. And it gets worse. An ex-nurse who'd worked there came forward.
What did she say?
She said she was the only permanent nurse on staff. And she described some disturbing practices.
Like what?
Like cleaners being told to put on white coats and pretend to be auxiliary nurses.
What?
To help administer sedatives to patients when things got, in her words, hectic.
A cleaner giving out powerful sedatives. Oh my God, what does that imply for patient safety? For Gloria?
It points directly to the strongest hypothesis in Gloria's case, an overdose.
Right. Repeated sedation, potentially by untrained staff. It seems horribly plausible she suffered a fatal overdose.
And that anonymous letter, remember, describing her being carried out as if unconscious.
Yeah, that fits perfectly with the overdose theory, that they were removing her body.
It lends significant weight to it. And another detail emerged. Gloria was the only patient registered at Torres de San Luis that entire year.
The only one. The whole year.
The only one. So this fancy-looking residence was practically empty.
But wasn't it deep in debt?
Massively. Over 600,000 euros in debt.
So an empty, indebted, unlicensed facility. It really makes you look again at Dr. Soler, doesn't it?
It does, especially when it later came out that Dr. Soler also worked for the clinic.
She worked there too, while also referring patients there.
Yes, which makes you seriously question why she pushed so hard for Gloria's admission, even dropping the price.
Feels like a clear financial motive and a huge ethical breach.
A profound lack of proper ethical oversight, certainly.
Okay, so let's fast forward. 8 years pass. It's the year 2000. The case finally goes to trial. What was the outcome?
The outcome was, well, deeply unsatisfying for many. The court found Dr. Maria Soler and the agency that ran the clinic, Zupedo SL, which is just their limited company name, responsible.
Responsible for what exactly?
Responsible, legally speaking. They were ordered to pay Gloria's parents 104,000 euros for damages for suffering.
Okay, some compensation, but was that it?
That was it. The judicial case was officially closed.
Closed, despite all the unanswered questions, the inconsistencies, the unlicensed operation.
Closed. No further criminal investigation, no real push to find out what truly happened to Gloria.
And what about Dr. Soler, the psychiatrist who sent her there?
Astonishingly, she continued her psychiatric practice, apparently faced no professional repercussions.
That's incredible, such a lack of accountability.
It really is.
So let's leave our listeners with something to think about here. You've got all this evidence, right? Clear impropriety, signs of a cover-up attempt, an unlicensed facility, the overdose likelihood. And the whole case just gets buried by other news. What does Gloria's story really tell us about maybe the power dynamics involved when institutions mess up so badly? How much does the drive for profit, or maybe protecting professional reputations, contribute to truth getting suppressed?
It's a really pertinent question.
And in today's world, with so much information flying around, what can we learn from a case like Gloria's about how hard it is to find justice, to find clarity, when a story just gets lost in the noise?
A very thought-provoking point to end on. What happens when the system and the media cycle fails someone so completely?